Hello and welcome to today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about the tolerant left, or rather the intolerant left. Now, those of us on the right, those of us who believe in freedom and liberty, have often probably been engaged by those on the left who claim that we need to be more tolerant and understanding of differing perspectives. That is, of course, until we happen to voice something with which they disagree. Well, then one knows that when you do that, you can be subject to all sorts of name-calling and threats because obviously we have to be wrong because we're evil and we are worthy of all sorts of denigration because, well, hey, we're not on the left. One such example has to do with the Second Amendment. There was an article recently in the Washington Free Beacon about how, in particular, women who advocate on behalf of the Second Amendment tend to be victims of all sorts of violent conversations, harassments, all sorts of things that, quite frankly, no one should really ever have to deal with. One such example, and this young lady right here, her name is Kimberly Corbin. She was well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me let the video play for you. And this was a question where Kimberly had a chance to actually ask a question of President Obama about a year ago. And in this question, she asked, she'll tell you a little bit about her story, and then we'll talk a little bit on the other side about what she's had to endure.
A lot of people have about you is, do you believe the fundamental notion that a good guy with a gun or a good woman with a gun is an important bulwark against a bad person with a gun? And before you answer, I want you to meet Kimberly Corbin. Kimberly was a college student in Colorado in 2006. Kimberly's right over there. She was raped by a man who broke into her apartment. She testified for 3 hours in the trial against him. Her attacker was sentenced to 24 years to life in prison, and I know that attack, Kimberly, changed your view of handguns. What's your question for the president?
Absolutely. As a survivor of rape and now a mother to 2 small children, it seems like being able to purchase a firearm of my choosing and being able to carry that wherever me and my family are, it seems like my basic responsibility as a parent at this point. I have been unspeakably victimized once already, and I refuse to let that happen again to myself or my kids. So why can't your administration see that these restrictions that you're putting to make it harder for me to own a gun or harder for me to take that where I need to be is actually just making my kids and I less safe?
So you guys saw basically who she is, who she is. And now, mind you that this is a person who's been speaking out who was speaking out for over 11 years on the issue of rape and being a rape survivor and the importance of self-defense. But more recently, she's gotten involved in conversations and really advocating on behalf of the Second Amendment and talking about how important it is to be able to own a firearm, to be able to carry a firearm of your choosing, and to be able to do that in self-defense. And it's been after that when she started receiving all sorts of real nasty messages and emails and attacks. And here's one that she found on her Facebook. It says, it's a blanking shame that you weren't killed when that scumbag raped you. You blank despicable, lying, low-life, right-wing, neo-fascist, we know what that word is, that was the message that Kimberly Corbin found waiting for her on her Facebook early last year. Now, I don't know what it is that anyone could say that would make them deserving of that sort of comment. Or at least I don't know what this person could have said that would have made them deserving of that sort of comment, except that she's been there. She's been the victim, and she doesn't want to be the victim ever again. And for that, she should be subjected to that sort of conversation. And trust me, that happens all the time. In the California state legislature, you had members of the state legislature who were saying all sorts of things about those of us who advocated on behalf of the Second Amendment. Evan Lowe, Isidore Hall, You've had members who've felt it okay to say any sort of thing, to say things like, like Anthony Rendon, you name it. They've said all sorts of nasty things about those who advocate on behalf of the Second Amendment because, they feel like they can. They feel like the only way for them to feel right about what they're doing is to make us seem to be evil. But let's just lay it out here real quick, guys and gals. I am simply trying to make sure that I am defending myself and my family. And the only thing that is standing in the way of my being able to do that, or the only thing that is attempting to stand in the way of my being able to do that, are the evil people seeking to perpetrate those crimes and those people who are seeking to make sure that I am not able to exercise my fundamental human right to defend myself. Now, who's evil in this picture? Who's really doing wrong in this picture? Am I because I want to be able to defend myself? Because I want to be able to exercise my God-given right to defend myself, my constitutional right to keep and bear arms? Am I the one who is evil? Or is the one who is evil the individuals who already know that disarming law-abiding citizens will not keep them from being victimized by criminals, by the criminally insane, by mass murders, or by terrorists? Who's really evil? I want y'all to think about that. So the next time you decide, those of you who in the Me Too, those of you who are hashtagging the Me Too, make sure that Me Too includes we too, all of us. Women who advocate on behalf of the Second Amendment are doing so because they recognize that a firearm is the great equalizer. It is what makes a 95-pound woman able to take on a 250-pound man who is trying to rape and abuse her and survive. And you, my friends, are the ones that are standing in the way of that. Those of you who would advocate to take away that fundamental right. You are the ones who are making her a potential victim. So the next time you decide you want to get all self-righteous with the Me Too thing, and trust me, I firmly believe that there's a lot of issues relating to how men deal with and how they address women and men's attitudes towards women. But you are not making it any better by attacking, by victimizing women who desire, whose sole goal in their conversations and their advocacy is to not be a victim. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting the Firearms Policy Coalition. Please remember to like and share these videos. Let everybody know that the Firearms Policy Coalition is the home in the fight of civil rights. We got to use them or we're going to lose them. Take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.